Hello, I'm Gia Mills and I have been a celebrity makeup artist for the past 20 years. I'm also the founder of sweat-friendly skincare brand and makeup brand Skin in Motion. And I am fascinated by the power of makeup and also the politics of beauty. On True Reflections, you get to peek behind the curtain and find out what your favourite celebrities really feel about their appearance when the glare of the media is upon them. And today, we've got a rather interesting person on. The guest today is a TikTok sensation, a former dancing on ice skater who is here to open up about her beauty journey as she goes past the 100 days of the carnivore diet. So please welcome Alex Murphy. So you're here, we're here to talk beauty, get to know you a bit better.
Yes, I love all things beauty.
We love all things beauty because I'm fascinated because we know you from Dancing on Ice when you were super glamorous, when you on your big social media feed where you've got, you're talking about beauty all the time. But take us back. You were born in Boston. You grew up in Massachusetts.
Yep, Massachusetts. I know it's a tongue twister, isn't it? Yeah, I'm from Boston. I have literally been an ice skater since I could walk. My mom was a skating coach. I'm actually from a city like outside of Boston called Woburn, but nobody knows it. So I just tell everyone I'm from Boston. But yeah, I grew up there and I started skating, and then I ended up turning professional at 18 and going on tour with Disney on Ice, and then Royal Caribbean cruise ships, and just everything ended up here in the UK on Dancing on Ice. And now I do social media.
And I love watching your social media. But
Thank
taking us
you.
back.
Yeah.
So when you were young, growing up in the States,
Yeah.
who did you look to? Who was the person you'd watch the telly and go, oh my God, she looks amazing. I want to look like her, or the magazine?
It's so funny because back in my day, the big people were like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera. Like that was like the phase that I was in. Spice Girls, obviously. But what was so funny was I always wanted to be a reporter. So I loved Katie Couric. I don't know if you know who that is.
No.
She was a reporter. She was
Okay.
a news reporter on, I don't know, ABC or CNN or something. And I always used to be like, kids would say, I want to be Britney Spears and I want to be a pop star. And I'd be like, I want to be a TV reporter like Katie Couric.
How funny. And did you was beauty a thing for you growing up? Were you conscious that, oh, I need to wear makeup, I want to get into all this sort of world? Or
I think I lived...
Because you were performing.
Yeah, I think I lived two very different lives. So I was a bit of a tomboy growing up, like hair on top of the head, no makeup for school, nothing like that. But then I lived a double life because I was competing. So I was skating. And it's really funny. My old skating coach used to carry lipstick in his pocket for me. And he would be like, you have to put this on. And I was like 10 or 11 and I would play soccer and basketball and all these team sports. And then I was also the girly side with, the frilly dresses and the hair and the makeup. So I lived two very different lives, and I think I kind of still do.
Yeah. I think that's really nice. And I think, these days as women, you can be everything. You can be the glamour puss, and you can be that sort of pared down, just supernatural. I don't think that there's any rules. But in the US, growing up, was there pressure at school? Like, were girls was it a thing? Because I'm not from didn't grow up in the US, but was it quite a thing at school?
I think so. I think in the States, our school's so different than you guys. We don't have uniforms. If you go to a state school, we would call it public school, and not a private school that your parents pay for. If you go to one that, is government, you don't have to wear a uniform. So self-expression is clothes, is makeup, is shoes, is bags, is everything like that. So it is quite pressureful. I think definitely when you're a teenager and kids are getting into makeup, and some girls are great at it and some parents let their kids wear makeup, some parents don't. My parents were always quite flexy about everything, but I think because I never tried to force anything. I was always like a little bit of makeup, I think, when I hit that like 16, 17-year-old age, but the big makeup came during skating season.
Well, I imagine, and I think it's quite tribal as well. I guess at schools where you can wear anything you want, there are the tribes, so you get your different types of groups, and you identify, this is what I find amazing about makeup. You can identify with a certain collective and group by the coding of your clothes and your makeup,
the aesthetic,
and which products you use and how much you use. And I guess, where did you sort of see yourself? Which tribe were you in?
I was probably I think I was like the athlete corner. So it was more of like I mean, I used to wear my skating tights underneath my sweatpants in school. Like I used to be ready to go to skating right after. So I was always in, you know, a tracksuit or something like that, or jeans, but with the tights underneath because I had to change in the car to go to the rink. So I was always kind of tomboyish and a little bit, you know, I wasn't super girly in high school, I would say. I definitely I learned how to style my hair and do my hair and makeup when I was 18, and I went to Disney on Ice, and that's when I really learned.
So you really felt, and who taught you to do all of this? Did the other girls, the other ice skaters teach you?
It's so funny. One of the male line captains was filling in for our female line captain, which is basically, you know, there's 40 skaters and there's like 20 girls, 20 boys, and there's one that's in charge. And she was, you know, at the time, probably like 30. And she would be the one that would teach us how to do our makeup for the show, but she wasn't in. So a male guy actually.
He was good?
And he was brilliant. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And what were the tips? What did they sort of say about how much you should wear?
Yeah.
Was it like go really heavy or was it quite light?
So it was stage makeup. It was definitely stage makeup. A lot of time you're wearing wigs and so your hair isn't really a big focus on it. Because it's not yours, it's either a headpiece or a wig or something.
You have that staying on because you probably get thrown all over the place on the ice.
I can't tell you how many costume designers hate me because of my hair, I'm sure.
Because anyone that's not watching this, you have the most incredible hair.
I have a lot of hair.
I mean, literally amazing. So yeah, I bet they. Yeah. So how do they keep the wig on?
So a lot of it, you wear a wig cap, but a lot of things would be adjusted for me. So I remember we were in Mulan, and we played geisha girls, and we would have a headpiece on our head, and they would cut foam out of mine so that my hair would get fed through the foam because it wouldn't stay on my head without it. So every piece had to be adjusted because I did have a lot of hair. But there were really important things. There's like certain stage makeups that, you know, we were using at the time, MAC Studio Fix, I think it was called, that would stay on, and it was really thick, and that's what we had to use on our face. We had to have red lipstick, a certain color, Ruby Woo.
MAC,
yeah. We had to have eyelashes that were on, and I had never worn lashes before. We had to have, like, there are certain things that you couldn't get away from, and your makeup would be checked. Like, they'd be like, no, get back in and fix that.
But I think, you know, it's performance, and that's part of the whole, you know, the whole sort of shtick. You need to kind of be properly made up.
Yeah.
But with some theatre makeup, I mean, I've done theatre makeup for people over the years, and you're always accentuating the face. You really have to, you know, the face gets sort of blurred out. And in order to kind of, I think when people are watching a show, you need to feel that connection.
100%.
So if you can see the features more, they're more defined.
To see your eyes, to have your eyes look like they're standing out, to have the lashes is important. And then also with Disney, we were miming the words a lot. So you had to have red lips so everyone could see exactly what you were saying.
And did you find that your skin was quite challenged by having to have all that thick makeup on all the time?
In the beginning, yeah, I definitely, because I wasn't someone that had worn a ton of makeup. I used to wear a tinted moisturizer to school, do you know what I mean? And a lip gloss and a mascara. And then I was obviously caking on the makeup for shows. So it would be funny, you'd see all of us, tons of makeup on during the week, the days off, everyone's face is really pale, like completely wiped off.
Well, you just need to give it, you know, look after it.
Yeah.
I guess like at the end of the night, you'd be sort of rubbing it, getting rid of it as much as
you do 3 shows, so you're layering on, you're not taking it off in between, you're just putting it back on again.
And could you be quite messy with it? Does it not have to be perfect because people are quite far away, or were, as you said, they had checks, which I love.
Yeah, they did, yeah. And
extraordinary.
Because it's like there's a whole system, especially to a Disney. Like Disney, there's Disney magic. You have to be a certain way. And they would check them, and they would kind of just like, you know, it wasn't anything that was too strict, but I do remember them being like, you know, that has to be perfect. You need to go change that. Or your makeup would change for what role you were in. So I don't know if you were playing Cinderella, we used to say you're a friend of Cinderella. If you were a friend of Cinderella that day, your makeup was a completely different shade than Snow White. Of all my years of skating, those are probably some of my favorite years. I was there for 3 years on Disney, maybe even longer than that. I don't even know.
And then how we know you in the UK, you came here to do Dancing on Ice, and it was just like, I remember watching you, and you just like it looked like you'd been brought up on ice, like literally, like a mermaid would be brought up in the sea. You looked like you'd just been brought up on the ice and absolutely natural. Talk me through how it was coming to the UK and all the sort of getting kind of to grips with how everything worked here.
It's so different here, and I love it. I absolutely love it here. But I moved over here in 2017 to start the show. I had been in Blackpool, actually skating in another ice show up there. And loved it and was like, I love the UK, you know, I'll try this dancing on ice thing, and didn't expect to obviously stay as long as I did, but I was there for 3 years. And yeah, I loved it. But that was a completely different experience because I had done a different version of dancing on ice in Amsterdam, where I kind of got used to the experience where they do your makeup, they do your hair, they essentially, they're in charge of your look, if that makes sense. So when I went to our dancing on ice over here, it was that and amplified, and I loved it, to be honest.
So you had the hair and makeup people.
Yeah.
You did, it wasn't like, you know, being on the
Yeah.
cruise ship.
You weren't doing it
You
yourself.
were like, okay, do your work. I could just sit
Yeah.
back and enjoy. And,
Yeah.
And how was that? What sort of products were you like, oh my God, that is like the best product?
Yeah. In the beginning, I remember being like, oh, this is really interesting, and watching them, because you guys are artists. Like I cannot do what you guys do. You're artists. You're not just makeup people. I'm always like, they are the heart of the show. I've always said the makeup and the hair team are the heart of the show, because without them, that doesn't complete what we as skaters are trying to achieve. Like, we have a story to tell. We have a love story or a comedy number, and that takes you to a completely different level. And once we would see it in the dress run, and then we would see it with the makeup on, I was like, it really, really changed it. And that was the number one thing that I thought about that show that was phenomenal, was the hair and makeup team.
Because you have to trust them as well, that they're, you know, number one, again, your wig's going to stay on.
Yeah.
And I think you've written before about some crazy things they put on your face, different lashes. You had all sorts of strange things. Things put on you.
I had like candy cane eyelashes and candy cane eyeliner. I had batteries in my hair at one point where my hair lit up. I had 2 things and it lit up, and it basically, there was a battery pack on the top of my head, which was hilarious. At the time, I was like, what are we doing? And you get in there on a Friday and you don't even know what's happening to you or whatever day, and you just go, they tell you, that's like, this is your look today, boom. And how they make it happen is phenomenal.
I love that, because also it's ice skating is a very different thing to dancing, you know, like the Strictlys and stuff.
Definitely.
So you're on something that, you know, it's dangerous. You're basically skating on knives, essentially. Your blades are like, you know, knives. It's dangerous.
Yeah.
And you're there, you know, it's a whole, everything needs to stay. And I've always been intrigued by the tights, because I'm always like, wow, their legs look so flawless.
Fishnets.
Are they fishnets? Oh, I thought they were like really thick tights.
No, so when you compete, you skate in thick tights, but when you go to shows and stuff, you wear the fishnets so that you can see your muscle tone. I think that's what they want you to see. But we cut the bottom of the fishnets, unlike the dancers. Dancers have their fishnets go on underneath their skates or under their shoes. We cut the bottom of them and then we pull them over the skate.
Oh.
To make it look like one long line.
Oh, so yes, well, elongating, which is great. So those thick ones, are they really, really thick? 'Cause I've always been intrigued to know.
You know what? They are really thick. The fishnets are, even the material is quite thick on the fishnet as well. But what's funny is if you fall with fishnets, you get almost like rug burn.
Oh.
You wouldn't if you had regular tights on. So it's a little bit dangerous when you're wearing the fishnets, because you can fall and you'll have squares. X's.
Oh God! So that's quite dangerous.
Yeah, we kind of. I mean, I've had a lot of bruises.
Much easier deal, I think, when they're skating. They kind of probably have a little bit of stuff, but not.
They don't have anything.
Any
girls.
Any major fails? Have wigs fallen off?
I mean, on Disney, quite a few times.
Okay.
Yeah, it happened a lot. A lot of times during Dancing on Ice, we would iron it out in the dress run, which was very important, because on live TV, if something goes wrong, you have to keep going.
Yeah.
And that would be, a catastrophe if it happened. So I was trying out battery packs and mohawks and things like that. But I only ever had to wear extensions on Dancing on Ice once. I only ever wore it once. And that was the one time I was a little bit afraid about it. And other than that, I got to wear my own hair.
But now what you do, which I love, is you have the most engaging social media feed. And I really love watching it. The thing I like watching the most is when you're doing your hair. So you have got, again, for anyone who's not watching this and hearing it, you have the most amazing hair that's like down to your waist.
Yeah.
And it's thick and it's lustrous and it's incredible. And
Thank you.
Get that bit. But on your videos, you film yourself using different types of tongs, and I just giggle because you always burn yourself.
Always. I'm not very good at it. I would love to say that I'm good at doing my hair, but I'm not. I practice a lot. I have a style that I know that I can achieve, and that's it. But when you have thick hair, it's a blessing and a curse, because hairdressers love you and hate you. They don't want you to sit in the chair for that long. So I've cut my own hair. I got my hair cut while I was skating by accident. Chem Setney skated over my hair before. Like my hair is just kind of, it's a comfort blanket, but it's also a bit of a disaster.
But honestly, it's so funny because you have to watch the feed because your hair ones are the best.
Thank you.
Because literally, I'm watching it and you're just looking like most of us feel when we're doing our own hair. You're looking like, oh my God, like is this working? Oh, that's not working, and and you burn yourself. It's like, oh, and literally because it's sped up often.
Yeah,
it's just hilarious to watch it. So it's like your hair is its own little comedy show, which is just which is brilliant, and it's just so natural and. When you're recording yourself, I love it because you kind of, your phone goes on an adventure because it's in the fridge, then it's in the washing machine, and it's just really lovely and very natural, and you connect really well with you on it. And obviously, you don't have to wear necessarily much makeup.
No.
What do you wear when you're?
So what's so funny is I found that when I first started social media, my now husband, was speaking to me about it, and he was like, "What's amazing about your social media is that it looks great and it's really, really pretty, but the shame about it is that nobody knows who you are and you've never really let your guard down. You were this girl from Dancing on Ice and that's what I used it for. It was a lot of pretty skating photos and things like that." And he said, "But you actually have a personality and you're funny." He said, "So why don't you just start being yourself?" So I kind of stripped back and I stopped wearing makeup, stopped wearing all the, the perfect aesthetic, the perfect photo, the perfect everything. And that was kind of when it kicked off. We were in COVID and I started doing some comparison photos, like Insta versus reality, of what I looked like today and what I looked like last week on Dancing on Ice. And that was when I think I really found my feet with it. And I realized that I can kind of pull back and not always have makeup on and not be bothered by it. People can see me with or without full glam and then be okay.
We were talking about that. I think there is huge pressure when you're, I do this podcast and it's recorded, and I'm used to always looking at other people, making them look good. And you suddenly become way more conscious of your appearance when you're filming yourself. And actually, I think what's good is that I don't want to be perfect all the time, and I'm not looking perfect all the time. And that's good because people kind of go, "God, they're human." We don't want these perfect people.
Exactly.
Because it's not real life and it's not attainable.
Yeah.
And what products do you like what are your sort of favorite go-to products that you like?
This is probably something that's quite relatable as well. So I find that there are expensive products that I love that are go-tos, that is worth the money, like a Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk mascara is great. Bobbi Brown foundation I've got. If I ever go to an event, I will put on a full foundation. But I also use a Primark Primer foundation hybrid or Primark mascara, or I also kind of balance the two. And I think that that's as important as well, because not everybody wants to go spend thousands and thousands of dollars or can afford to.
It's a lot of money. It is a lot of
money. So it's nice to I have a mix of both. If you open up my drawer, you'd be like, oh, quite the eclectic group there.
It's great. I go in there sometimes I like their homeware stuff, for example, but I will pick up various, I'll rummage around their makeup and go, oh, that's good. And suddenly it's like my go-to, their lip liner. I'll be like, I'm obsessed with this. And it's people are like, oh, that's a nice, where's that lip liner from? Primark.
Yeah.
And it's nice to mix these things up, and you can have some of your clean beauty, you can have your expensive beauty, you can have your sort of, all sorts of extraordinary places you can buy stuff.
I know. I'd love to know more about clean beauty stuff, to be honest, because I don't know enough about it. I know that there's so much toxins. We were saying this earlier, but I'm like, I don't know enough, and I need to do more research on what's the right ones.
It's really interesting because a lot of brands can say certain things. There are claims. I have a beauty brand, so I know you have to be so careful.
What you say.
Claims, you have to substantiate it. But you can twist from a marketing point of view, so you think you're getting something clean. And so there's a whole thing going on. And also it's what do you deem to be clean? Because things like parabens, they're preservatives. And actually you sometimes need preservatives in products so that it doesn't go moldy and it doesn't sort of, it has loads of, the impurities start sort of degrading, if you want to put the term on your face. So there are certain things that are okay
to have,
but there are some things that you want to be clean. Mascara, how can a mascara be clean? It's got it's got to stay on. It's black. It's a whole minefield, and it is do your due diligence. Find out what's important to you. There are loads of people who do social media, a girl, MJ, I know, she does a brilliant social media feed about clean beauty, and she really tries things out, and she does her due diligence so you can find out what products
Which
she
one do you
loves.
want to take?
So there's a lot out there that can help navigate it, but it's great that you're starting to think.
Well, yeah, it's because you said you mentioned the carnivore diet. I've gone down a rabbit hole of like what to put into our bodies, etc. But I started putting beef tallow on my face.
Tell me about beef tallow on your
There's
face.
brands that now, because obviously like everything has retinols, and I don't know what's good for us, what's not good for us. I'm just trying to start to do my research on it. But I did start using beef tallow, which certain brands, like they're small organic companies. I think the one that I've got is, I don't know, tallow something. But basically they put into it beef tallow only, and they put in maybe emu oil. One of them had emu oil on it. And then like a scented one, which will have like maybe tea tree oil or lemongrass oil, probably like an essential oil, and that's it. So when you put it on, it's really, really nice. Like I put it on at night and it's really, really lovely on your skin. But I mean, there's so much conflicting evidence. Like, do we try beef tallow? Do we try retinols? Do we like what? I don't know. I'm getting too old.
Is the benefit, are they basing that on the fact that it's got retinol in it?
I think they're basing it on the fact that they say that it's natural and it's a collagen production. So it will like help plump your skin and stuff. And over time, it's supposed to be really good for you. But
well, I think there's things from such,
less preservatives or stuff. I don't know.
So it's more clean and it's more natural. I think it's just getting over that hump, people's perception of what beef tallow is. But talk to me more. I love the fact that you do this
more beef
diet. I know. Tell me more about beef tallow. But tell me more about the diet. So over 100 days.
Yeah.
Why did you do it? What's it about? How you?
So I'm almost 6 months in. We started in January. So where are we now? So yeah, I've done it for quite some time now. We started it because we wanted to get rid of our brain fog and, just get rid of anything that was, toxic during the last year. Obviously Christmas and all those things start and everyone starts a New Year's resolution. But when we started it, my husband and I were like, we watched it on Joe Rogan and we said, well, we can just try something for a week. And being a content creator, I was like, I'll do it for a week. It'll be hilarious content because it's going to be awful. We're going to hate it. And we'll just do it for a week and it's a good challenge. We hit that 7-day mark. The first few days were really hard, obviously, but
just meat.
It's meat, eggs, and a little bit of dairy. But the first month, we just did meat and eggs.
No vegetables.
No vegetables, no carbohydrates. No, I haven't had a carb since January.
Have you had any vegetables? Are you allowed to weave vegetables in?
No.
Wow. What's the philosophy, the behind it? How do they justify having vegetables?
So again, not a doctor, but from my research is basically it's an anti-inflammatory diet. So they say that plants have oxalates or something in them that essentially makes you inflamed, as well as carbohydrates, as well as, obviously all these processed foods are so bad for us. Like ultra processed foods are killing us. And so I was like, well, even if we can just kind of start with that and we'll just cut this out, we'll feel better. We hit day 7 and then we both went, wow, we kind of have a buzz. This feels really good. Let's just try again. So we did another week and then it just kept going. And to be honest, now I can never imagine, at this point in my life, I can't imagine going back to it.
So what's sort of your staple food? Like if you want to have a snack, is it biltong and those?
Hard-boiled eggs.
I love hard-boiled eggs.
So and then the other thing is they don't promote it, but they talk about fasting. I never would have been able to fast. Like I'm an athlete. I used to eat like 17 meals a day. Like you're always like picking at something. But once you get into the diet, you can eat as much as you want of all those things. So you can eat as much meat, eggs, and like raw dairy as you want. But once you get into that system of that, you then kind of want to eat less, if that makes sense. So you kind of go through these fasting phases and they say that, I ate dinner last night, but I haven't eaten yet today and I'll probably eat in a few hours, but I'm not in that craving. I'm not hungry. So it's taken away all of my sugar cravings. It's taken away, I don't have any desire to eat anything bad for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Strange.
No, I think when you're fit and you eat quite healthily, you don't crave for the chocolate as much.
Yes.
The less you have it, the less you want it. But it's getting that sort of initial point when
that first 2 weeks is tough.
Because you're like,
any diet, I'm sure.
Some chocolate.
I know.
And so it's kind of like the paleo diet by the sounds.
Yeah,
it's very back to our sort of the roots when we kind of, you'd be in the savannah, killing your water, your kangaroo.
My mom went paleo like 13 years ago. When I got sick, she went paleo, and she's loved it. She absolutely loved it, and she's been on it. And it's basically paleo's like, you can have vegetables and you can have fruits and you can have dark chocolate and red wine. So it's kind of like a little bit easier. And then there's keto, which is the ketogenic lifestyle where you're trying to stay in ketosis and you're calculating a lot and you're trying to grab a vegetable here, but no, only cruciferous vegetables. So it's strict. And then there's carnivore, which is like the strictest. But I think carnivore is quite easy once you've done it, because then there's just no other option. You have no other options. You can't just go and get, I don't know, a cereal.
How's it helped your skin? Has it helped
My skin's what feels the best, to be honest. I would say my skin feels the best out of everything. Because I used to get eczema and I'd get like, little rashes and stuff, and I haven't gotten any since. So.
Well, I love that. So that means you can just, your skin, it looks very glowy, it looks very fresh, and you don't look as though you wear like a huge amount of makeup, which, from the old days of being on ice. So what are the products you've got on today?
So today I have on a Primark, I have on beef tallow first in the morning, and then I have on a Primark Primer Foundation Hybrid, which is I don't really know what it is, but it's kind of like just more like a tinted moisturizer. And then I have a Charlotte Tilbury foundation that I use because of how I'm tanned right now. I use it as like a bronzer. And then I put on Rimmel London blush today. Like
is that a cream blush?
I love cream stuff. I've gone off of powders. I don't know if that's my age, because I'm in my late 30s now. I don't know if that's what happens, but I've completely gone off of powders and I'm doing a lot of cream stuff, I've noticed.
I think powders can be very, very aging. When you're in front of the camera, it can make you look it can pick up the gloss, but in real life, I think creams
really
and glosses, and the balms, they just give you that fresher, glowy look, and they're so popular now. Like the lipsticks that aren't so heavy, they're just a bit glossy and they give you a pop of colour. I think that's the way forward. But
there used to be a phase when everyone was into matte. Yeah, remember when like matte was a thing, and I was into that. Like I'd have matte lipstick, matte. Like I didn't want anything shiny. Now all I want is like that glowy look. So.
When I do people's makeup, I'm always obsessed. How can I get on the cheek that lovely, fresh, look like you've been for a walk, iridescent glow?
Dewy. Dewy,
It's really hard to get. But I just want to go back a sec. When you said when you got ill, so you extraordinarily aged
24.
24, had a stroke.
I did, I had a stroke when I was 24 from a hole in my heart. It was caused by what they call a PFO, which is just a hole in your heart. And I'm very, very lucky that I'm still here, but it was a very long journey. And that was
what was the recovery like?
What's crazy about it is it happened on the cruise ship. So it happened when I was skating. And there was a medical ward there. So they fortunately got me seen to quite quickly. And then they landed me the following morning in Tenerife, and I was in hospital and had all my tests done and everything. But the recovery period from start to finish, from the day of the stroke to surgery, was like 2 weeks. I had heart surgery to fix the hole and then, figure out what was going on. And then after that 2 weeks, I was back on the ice in about 3 weeks. I think I was back on the ice in about 10 days, but I was back on working in about 3 weeks.
Yes, because I was going to think, how long were you actually out? Because obviously that's where you make your money.
Yeah.
And it's what it's what you do. And if you're out of action in that is terrible. But that's amazing.
Yeah, I started my first contract. I had my stroke on November 6th and I had heart surgery on November 19th. And then by December, I think it was, I want to say like 16th or something, I was already working again. So I was really quickly, it was about a month. It was really difficult, and I wasn't at my level of what I would have wanted to be, but I didn't tell anyone I had a stroke, so I just went on contract. I was supposed to be on a break, and I just went on contract.
And were your family a bit worried about you going off again? Gosh,
they came the week after. They flew to Amsterdam. It was the Dutch dancing on ice.
Yeah. Well, I'm so so many people I meet on the podcast have had things that have had really kind of ground shaking things happen in their life. And I love the human spirit, how people just get up and they're like back on their skates or back on the stage or back on whatever they're doing. And it's just like, no, I'm going to keep going.
And go again.
I think our bodies are the most incredible things.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it's mindset. I think a lot of everything that I could take my own advice, I'm sure, but it is mindset. It's mostly like, if you think that you can do it, you will get back on it. And I tell that to a lot of stroke survivors. I mentor a lot of them, and I tell them, I'm like, you have to get your mindset right. You got to get out of the doom and gloom. And once you're out of that, things get a little bit easier, and it's going to take time.
And what are your tips for getting out of doom and gloom? Because we all get it now, more or less than,
Yeah. I think it's unwavering faith. Like I have unwavering faith that things will be okay. Like I always just have. And I think when you go through hard times, things just kind of pile up. But when you're in the moment, it's really difficult. Like when you're in the moment and you can't see out of the black hole, it is extremely hard to get out of it. And I always am like, wallow for a day and then get back on the horse. And then if you have to have another day that you have to have a wallow, that's fine. But then just keep doing the same practices. I think habits are so important. Having good habits, listening, we were saying meditation, listening to manifestations, just kind of drilling it into your subconscious. And then, obviously just deciding that you're going to move forward. I think it's a decision at the end of the day.
I think the thing about wallowing is sometimes quite good. I've heard a lot more about this recently.
Have you?
I think it's about just acknowledging your feeling. Because as women, as girls growing up, it's like, you're never told, go on, cry more, or go on, have more of a tantrum as a little girl.
Yeah, have a meltdown.
Go on, really show me how happy, your excitement. Well, maybe you have a bit of that, but particularly any negative emotions, we're told, oh, don't show those emotions. Don't really show them. And actually, I think it's good to acknowledge and actually listen to our bodies, because we get so used to detaching ourselves, particularly from our negative emotions. But if you can sit there and go, right, I'm going to absolutely own this horrible feeling. And
be miserable for a second.
A bit of time. You just give yourself
a deadline.
Window, and then I'm not going to feel like that anymore, or I'm going to try and do something that I know is going to get me out of it.
Yeah, and I think it's important to maybe let yourself feel that, but then also have a plan. Like I'm a planner, so when things go wrong, I'm like, oh God, what now? But if I have a plan and I have a goal, then I'm a lot easier. I can get back on it. And I think that is hard. Like life doesn't always go the way you want it to go. Like
it certainly doesn't.
Yeah, like it doesn't.
And Alex, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you. I loved it.
Really enjoyed it. And so massive thank you to Alex Murphy. That's it for True Reflections this week. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe wherever you're watching or listening. You can find me across your social media by searching @True Reflections Podcast. You can also explore my Skin and Motion cosmetics range to help boost your confidence at skin.in.motion on your social media channels. I'll be back next week with another celebrity to talk through their beauty experiences, their favourite products, and to delve deeper into how the ideals of beauty shapes not just our physical appearance, but the core of our identity. Until then, have a lovely week.